Hello there. Astonishing rise in heartbeat irregularity in the UK, says the British Heart Foundation. Now, what on earth could be causing that? The British Heart Foundation says that there are now more than 1.5 million people in the UK suffering from an irregular heartbeat, something that can lead to strokes. That's 1 in 45 people in the UK. And those are the ones they know about. There could be another more than 250,000 people who are unaware that they also have it. And according to the BHF, this is an astonishing rise of 50% in cases since 2013, in just a decade. Professor Sir Nilesh Samani, medical director at the BHF, said, "What remains troubling is the sheer number of people who are undiagnosed and unaware that they are living with a heightened risk of stroke. Finding people with this hidden threat must remain a priority." So one assumes we will see a sudden rise in the number of people diagnosed with atrial fibrillation as doctors start actively looking for it and reporting it. But I do have to ask, what on earth could be causing it to happen so quickly and so suddenly? And then there's the amount of microplastics in people's lungs right now. I wonder where they came from. I wonder how plastics can be introduced into the lungs. A report from July last year in Science Direct points to polypropylene and polyethylene terephthalate fibres being inhaled into the lungs. Microplastics are designed to be robust materials, unlikely to break down within the lungs, potentially leading to accumulation over time depending on aerodynamic diameter and respiratory defences. Now, we do inhale these things as they're in the air around us. Look at all that plastic around you right now. With another report in Science Direct saying, "Microplastics are emerging environmental contaminants, pervasive in the environment." So as they are emerging contaminants, one assumes they are bad for us, and one also assumes you should never deliberately introduce a concentrated source of microplastics into your breathing pathway. Perhaps, for example, by putting something made of such plastic fibres over your nose and mouth and breathing through it for an extended period. So it's a good job we don't put anything like that over our faces, isn't it? No, the only time to put something across your airway is when the government and medical experts tell you to do it during a health emergency and inform you that it's all perfectly safe. Now, have you caught Lawrence Fox on Twitter today? Well, the leader of the Reclaim Party had a right go at the former Health Secretary Matt Hancock, and he did not hold back. And much of what he passionately said will resonate with the general public. Very rare to see a politician tell it exactly like they see it. So you want to buy a house or remortgage? Well, you'd better be totally green if you want a good mortgage deal. Because in a bid to boost green financing, the Tory government is starting a project to pay small lenders to offer those with green improvements to their houses lower mortgage rates. That's it, finance based on greenness, a type of social credit score, but not based on a hard-nosed financial basis. Do you really think that a green mortgage for your heat-pumped house will ever be cheap enough for long enough to recoup the cost of tens of thousands to install one and the expense of running one? If heat pumps were all they're cracked up to be, there'd be no need to ram them through like this. No need to milk the taxpayer to bribe or blackmail people into buying them. And to be clear, it will be the taxpayers and those in unmodified houses who will be picking up the tab. And following it through to the inevitable conclusion, once most people had heat pumps installed, then the state subsidy would end and mortgage rates would return to normal for everyone. And I bet there's a sweetener hidden in there for the bankers to make sure they push this hard. Those bonuses and commissions have to be paid for from somewhere, while they condition the people into accepting punishments for their excessive carbon footprint and goodies for being compliant to the system. They are weaponising the financial system against the people. This is why the tax take is so high. Going green costs a lot of money. And all the while they claim they want to lower the UK carbon footprint, the Tories accept more and more newcomers into the country. In a few days' time we'll hear how much nearer to the 1 million annual net migration milestone we are, with predictions that it will be much higher next year. And when the Labour Party's chairwoman was asked whether her party wanted to see net migration go up or down, Annalise Dodds said we could see an increased number of people coming into the country in the short term. Define short term. And Rishi Sunak has today said he wants to limit it to 500,000, 500,000 a year. So we've gone from an ambition to limiting it to the tens of thousands to limiting it to the hundreds of thousands, and Labour now admits it will be more with them. This is going to place huge upward pressure on our carbon output. So why don't they cut the numbers coming here if reducing our carbon output is their primary aim? But it can't be, can it? So what is their real primary aim? As if our creaking infrastructure can take much more anyway. There will be no let-up in this. It must be obvious to all by now that the political establishment is totally committed to open borders, but hasn't yet got round to informing the voting population of that true intent. Richard.
I am sick of saying this. We need change. And I think the only way we're going to get change is if we have a hard left Labour government. Yes, I did say that. Yes, we need Keir Starmer as Prime Minister, because the only way we will stop this juggernaut of liberal leftism that's right through the Tory party, let's face it, the only way to stop it is for those who romanticise the liberal left-wing woke agenda to actually have what they wish for, so they can see what a true hard left satanic Labour government would look like, that evil ideology. And the only cure for the apathy of those who don't want to rock the boat and will still vote for what they perceive as safe and traditional by voting Tory to stop Labour, well, they will swallow a dose of reality where they can pay the wages of their own apathy. I want Prime Minister, in the real world, I want Prime Minister Fox or Bridgen. I want a party filled with good, decent people, and virtually none of the current bunch of traitors that sit on the benches in the House of Commons fulfill that remit. But unfortunately, I live in Britain, where the sheeple will turn up to vote either red or blue, and Britain has yet to live under a truly left-wing government, so it's about time it had just one term in power to end this idiotic notion that the left can bring about fairness and freedom for the peoples, I should say, of these isles. The young seem to be hypnotised by the left, and more so than the elderly. So let the young know what it's like to have their individuality stripped away from them, and let them have their anything goes and identify as anything they want to, and let them mutilate themselves. Carry on. Their scars will serve as a warning to future generations when sanity is finally regained. But for now, let them revel in their debased minds and unnatural fantasies, and let them have the political representation of the debased mind. Yes, when I say the debased mind political representation, of course I mean Labour. And as for the middle-aged and elderly left-wingers, most of those sort of people I know they have a good level of disposable income, especially the retired left-wing fanatics. They actually think they will continue to live through their retirements with their assets and pensions intact. Oh, bless. I actually look forward to the looks on their faces when the state redistributes their wealth amongst incomers. Oh, yes, that will be poetic justice on another level. But for those of us who are resourceful and awake, we can rebuild. We have already learned the lesson to never trust the state, and our minds are now hardwired to do so. We can rebuild our own communities, and we will. So bring on the left and bring on the great collapse. If this really is a truly unstoppable global play to centralize everything that cannot be stopped, then can we please just get on with it? I'm a Christian, so I have my ticket out of here. Anyway, what do you lot think? Leave your creamy pills of wisdom in the comment section below, and we will see you again tomorrow at 5:45, 5:45, 5:45.